I've only done this sort of type of commentary a couple of times before. Um, and it's when I analyze somebody else's video and respond to it or produce some sort of commentary or additional background information um, to clarify the truth, because there are so many people in the progressive movement who are flatly lying to you. So, my former project partner did a hit campaign against me, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the entire reason he did this is because he's been feeling some heat on Twitter because he keeps trying to convince people that he invented Medicare for All in 2017. I was getting notified that he was doing that. And so I contacted him privately because I believe that criticize people in private, you praise in public. And I only criticize in public after they've come after me. That's my response is, well, that's not true, son. That's not true. So I criticize in public after they've already come after me. That is my response. Okay. I do not initiate. In fact, when I was a little kid, my brother is 13 months older than me. He's always been able to hit a lot harder than I have. So I learned at a very young age not to hit back because he would pound me a lot harder than I could pound him. So I've always been a nonviolent person, and I've always tried to measure the way that I respond to things. But that being said, I am strong. I have a very strong sense of justice and truth and honesty. And so I'm not going to let this complete nonsense totally slide. But I did sit on it for a long time because I think it's important not to react to things in the moment when you're mad, right? And I'll be real, Don, I was pretty mad when he did this. And I had some light response to it, but now I'm going to give you a full breakdown. I'm going to give you a full breakdown of all of his bullshit. So let's go ahead and do this. It's I'm going to basically I'm gonna have to. It's long. He spent like over an hour on a Friday night obsessing about me because I basically contacted him privately and said, "Look, you got to reframe what you're saying because if there was some sort of action that you took in 2017." To advance Medicare for All, you need to put it in more appropriate context because it's not being interpreted the way that you think it is, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it is, but you're becoming an internet meme basically because your claims are so grandiose. So his response to me providing this private criticism to him was to circulate a smear against me that was completely untrue. He claimed that I was saying that he raped me. I have never said this. I have absolutely never said this. And he even dragged his wife into it, had his wife commenting on it and stuff. So we're going to break this down. I'm going to tell you what really happened. And let's go. So I'm going to do some screen share here. I'm going to share the sound. Okay. Let's go.
I shouldn't. Anyways, all right. We're just waiting for the actual live stream to pop up, and then we'll get this party started. If you're seeing this and you're jumping in, I'm so sorry. The recordings are always a little jumpy on Facebook since they changed this system around. So I'm going to get some people in here. We're going to talk about what's going on. Some things are getting really, really out of hand in the community right now. And I almost wasn't able to bring this to you today. I almost wasn't able to go live dealing with a lot of issues right now separate from this. But I actually had to fight off a 30-day ban today because I was pretty vocal about some allegations someone made against me because I'm disgusted by them. And Facebook at first said that this is bullying, and then I, challenged it, and it took about an hour, but they read it and they agreed with me that there's some fuckery afoot, is the proper way to put it.
So just so you guys are watching, Don has some tells when he's lying. He gets very shifty. Um, he, I don't know. I mean, I do know for a fact that he does engage in certain drug use, but I don't know what he might potentially be taking on a daily basis or whatever, but he does have large crashes. Very similar to when my young son was going through testing for ADHD and was trying out different medications like Adderall. When you take that sort of medication, you can focus while it's working, but as you're coming off of it, it creates like emotional crashes. And I can't, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's going on with Don, but it does very much, his behavior oftentimes looks like he's crashing off of Adderall. Um, just my observation. But you can see he's super shifty. He's speaking very quickly. He's going to reveal some things during this video that are partial truths. And I'll get to those.
So, you know, a few of you have been here for a while. Some of you are going to be new. I honestly have no idea who's jumping in or not, but I'm basically dealing with a problem in the community that's getting wildly out of hand right now, and wildly out of hand. Jenna Beck has been harassing and stalking me for a few years now, and we went on the road in 2018. We went on the road in 2018 because she was basically my publisher. Like, I was working for her. I had already been going on.
Okay, let's make that very clear. He did not work for me. I'm not stalking him. I do not know where he lives. I have made absolutely no effort to show up to his location or to show up to any events. In fact, when I was attending the Long Beach KDM convention, he was watching my live streams and decided to show up. And when I discovered that he was there, I left. Okay, so he's projecting, y'all.
The road, but at that particular time, I was working for her magazine, and I was not really producing articles, but I was.
Again, we're not an actual organization. We have not hired anybody. He, however, hired me as a subcontractor to work for him on the Jess Selmont for Congress campaign in Florida. So again, projecting.
Editing articles, and she was writing stories about what was happening. So technically, this whole situation, I was working for her in this environment, and it was really not that bad for the most part until it just started getting weirder and weirder and weirder, like just not more codependency than I was.
Most of you who are mutuals between me and Don met me through Don and know that I was his absolute biggest advocate during 2018 and helped him through some really tough times when he was getting dragged by the LA Progressive Network.
Comfortable with a lot of, like, she always thought I was trying to abandon her. It was just really weird. At the time, I was not even in my thought process. I was like, no, it's gonna be fine. Now, our relationship started on the basis that she had done some really great work with the Me Too movement. You know, it wasn't really special necessarily, other than she's a good researcher. So I was like, well, you're a good researcher, so I like having researchers around. So I definitely reached out to her and I brought her into the network, and I, she introduced her to everyone basically. And she kind of was the first person, and I'll give her this, she was the first person who came and showed up to my house with all the smear campaigns and all the negativity and all this stuff. And this is where things get really complicated, because, she was the first person who came and kind of like broke through all of this like hate that I was dealing with. And she actually came and like looked at my documents and looked at my videos and was really great. She wrote this really nice article called Too Good to Be True. We went to a fundraiser's house. We actually had a good time.
I removed the article from my website after he refused to correct the record on all of these recent smears that he's been putting out against me for no fucking reason. This is distraction. This is a dude who his life is so fucked up right now that he is in a misogynistic and abusive way to a former lover, is using me as a distraction for his bullshit. Yeah, I did help him. I did write for him. I did appreciate the work that he was doing, but he was actually grooming me at that time for the road trip in which he was going to convince me to have a fling with him. Okay. So the idea that he's now demonizing me is a very common thing that men do. It's a very common thing that men do.
You know, she was hanging out with my wife. I know it was like a fluff piece too, because me and my wife totally got in an argument with her because we weren't doing the best at the time, and she left that out. She could have mentioned that, but she didn't.
Oh yeah, they he, oh yes, they got into a fight while I was over at their house, and it was mainly him overreacting to her. It was absolutely your fault, Dawn. Lee was just didn't, you know, she is not really interested in what he's doing in politics, and she's not interested in the constant drama that he keeps getting himself wrapped up into, and so she's a bit flippant about it, and he felt like she wasn't being supportive enough and that I was, and so that's why he was grooming me.
So like, you know, it's definitely you know, our relationship started out pretty cool, and then this thing happened with this guy kind of early on, where one of the people she worked with at Our Revolution in Orange County had been drunkenly inappropriate with her. Now, I do believe still to this day, to some degree, he was drunkenly inappropriate with her. How drunkenly inappropriate, I have no idea. I can't really say. But I know that I stood by her and I defended her I mean, I got smeared so hard by people. So that's when Fiorella really turned on me, because Fiorella was having like a pseudo relationship with this guy because they were.
Okay. Yeah, but that's not true, Dawn. Fiorella was coming after you because she worked for Nico House. And Nico House was pissed at you because you came after Tim Canova in your national strategy chat and called him a retard. Those were your exact words. Nico House actually screen capped all of that and published it on his Facebook page. Fiorella then continued to spy on you for several months. Tim was just a pawn in that scheme, and you know that. And they were coming after me because they knew that I was working with you. So it wasn't about, they used that addict to come after me because I was working with you. Let's understand that right now. And on top of it, you know how drunk he was because you literally saw it. You were there when it happened. And you keep going back and forth on whether or not you believe that you were supporting a Me Too claim or you don't. So you yourself keep waffling back and forth on this, and you are a terrible ally to women. You're not an ally to women. You're a horrible person. And that's why they were able to take us down in that letter too, because they got so many screen caps of you abusing women verbally.
We're all in a triangle for a minute. And so Fiorella turned on me in defense of him, and that's how like the left broke up. Like and this sounds, maybe I sound a little egotistical, but the left had a couple of breaking ups at different times, and they always coincided with this strategy chat that like 90% of the people who've been around the whole time were in at some point or another. And so you know, it's just, anyways, the point of this story is that things were going pretty good, and I had been on the road with other people, women before. It was always cool and professional. We had the documentary.
He literally told me about all the other women he slept with on the road. He also told me that Lily wanted to sleep with him and he turned her down. He's constantly trashing women, you guys, constantly trashing women and using them, constantly doing this. I'm going to be breaking this up. It's a long ass video. He spent a lot of time talking trash about me, but he reveals some things because he has tells, and he's a bad liar. And he keeps going back and forth on what he has to say. But I'll do like, I'm going to try and break this into like 15-minute segments or something.
We did all that. I went on the road with Lily. You know, we had a good time. Good time. I mean, as far as I know, I think we spent too much of her money, but I don't think it like, and I'm annoying, obviously. Like, imagine having like full-time 10 hours in a car with me. You'd probably go crazy too. But generally speaking, I'm not aware of any significant issue. I could definitely.
He also screamed at all of us. Everybody who's close to him knows, well aware that he screams at the top of his lungs and has absolute meltdowns against us. Not only has he done it to me, he has it on videotape doing it to his wife. He has done this to Lisa Peth over the phone, who we were working with in Florida. And Lily is well aware that he does this as well. She's seen him do it too.
You know what? I wasn't perfect on the road, Lily. When I look back on it and reflect on it, like I definitely was like testing, like people saying things were okay and like doing it a bunch when you're not supposed to, and like prove it's not okay, because I don't like when people tell me so. And I don't know if I did the best with that at the time, but you know, it's 2018. I've learned a lot and grown a lot since then. But I wouldn't say there was ever a time where there was like a sexual inappropriate moment where anything. When we got drunk, I mean, there's heavy drinking at DNZ.
He told me when I went on the road with him, he told me that when he went on the road with Lily, he helped hook her up with other dudes, that was like his thing. He was basically like pimping her out, and that he was suggesting he could do the same thing for me. And I'm like, I don't really do that. That's not really my thing. But yeah, that's what that this guy is so full of shit, you guys.
Meetings. She was like, "Get away from me! You snore super loud." We did have to share, you know, sleeping spaces. But you know, in this particular instance, when I went on the road with Jenna, it was pretty cool the first little bit, and then we got in the car accident. We got a real bad car accident that she basically caused. We had just left.
How many of you realize that dudes do this? That when they are behind the wheel, they are driving, they're responsible for the passengers in their vehicle, that they blame their passengers for their inadequacy at driving. He was drunk when he was driving. We were in Louisiana. We both had seatbelts on, right? Which is why we didn't get hurt. The airbags did deploy, but we both had seatbelts on. So let's reframe this for a second. So let's rethink this for a second. This dude, he's driving in a pouring rainstorm. So the visibility is poor. He's drunk. I'm drunk. I'm wearing my seatbelt. So there's no way I'm all over the car, because I'm secured into my seat. And he comes up to a stop sign. He thinks it's clear, but then like a frat boy comes peeling through it's like a blind curve. And Don hits the gas pedal, not knowing that this guy is coming around the corner, and hits him. The accident was labeled 50-50, but he ends up then spending an hour screaming at me, absolutely screaming at me and telling me it's my fault. I had nothing to fucking do with this. You were the driver. And it's disgusting that you're still blaming me for this.
We're in New Orleans. This is quite the story, actually. We were just left French Square, and it was raining, hardest rain I've ever been in. No cars out at all, zero visibility. I've never experienced anything like this. I am asking her to sit down, and she has a drink in her hand. She's waving her hands everywhere, and as she's blocking my view with the already thing, I don't see the car coming, and we almost get killed, basically. Luckily, my car was totaled. The other guy's car was pretty messed up. I was partially to blame. We kind of split responsibility on the accident because he was driving way too fast in the rain. He was a football player rushing to get back to football practice. He had curfew, I think, or something. And so we just both were like, didn't want to talk to the cop. The cop was enough. That was all cool. But it's really made my life complicated since then. The time she was like, "Oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal." And I'm like, "No, it is a big deal. You totally caused this accident." And
I did not cause the accident. You were the driver. You're a grown ass man. You are responsible for your own goddamn accident. We went on to meet with an Our Revolution chapter who helped rip off the bumper so that we could drive back to our lodging. We had the airbags deployed. We had to turn this car back in and get another rental replacement. It was that night that he grabbed me and kissed me and started an affair with me. This is why he's acting so shady and shifty and nervous right now, because it was in Louisiana that our fling began.
And, I am at fault ultimately for it, but she was literally distracting driving while I'm asking her to stop. I should have, in hindsight, been a better driver and just stopped the car at that exact moment. Like, having replayed this in my mind a number of times. So, and a lot of good things happened on that trip, but it was really filled with like these moments of like real needy cleanliness. And she also had this plan to like get me to move into her house because she knew me and my wife were because technically when we were on this trip, me and my wife were separated. She was doing her thing. I wrote on Twitter about this. We were technically separated for this short amount of time. There was a moment when the smear campaigns got to her too. There was a moment where everyone kind of fell to it. And
okay, so here's can't even. He groomed me for several months leading up to the trip to convince me to have this fling with him. He was not wearing his wedding ring not only the 2 weeks that I was with him, but the entire trip. Like he left, I think in like September or August. He left in August because he was on Bernie's birthday boat. He was like at Flint. He went up to visit Carrie Barber in Michigan. That he went to a homeless camp. He went to his wife's family in Canada, and Lee called ahead and told them not to let him stay there, y'all. He told me when I got with him on the road that she had not been in contact with him the entire trip until I arrived because she was jealous of me. He was literally telling me these things while I was on the road. He's full of it. He's a womanizer. He told me straight up that they were going to get a divorce when they got home and that he was going to need a place to stay. So I said, well, I have a spare room because my son just moved out. He's so full of shit, you guys.
It's disheartening that this is happening because there was a time when Jenna was the only person who actually we really stood by her on that issue. She stood by me on this issue, but like that's all it was. That was like, I like to fix broken things. I want to help people get better, and so my goal was always like
I had a 6-figure job while I was helping this motherfucker, and he's trying to call me broken. You've never had a fucking job in your life, for God's sakes, dude. You've never held any sort of adult employment, and you have the nerve to call me broken.
Like, how can we fix the situation? And just like kind of created its own problem all the time. So, people had warned me, and I should have been a little bit more. I should have listened to them, and that's something that I also think about. Like, I should have done differently. I should have listened.
Oh my God, he's projecting again. Literally, so many people came to me and told me to stop working with him, and he knows that. He knows that. He knows that Lauren Steiner actually gave me an ultimatum, and that's why Lauren and I have been at such odds since 2018. She gave me an ultimatum to kick him out of Undercovered Magazine. He's again projecting. Okay, this is going to be segment 1. I'll go like just a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to cut it here and like come back to it.
Listen to some of the people who are like, she doesn't look right. You should not look right. She doesn't like what do they say? Pass the sniff test, even though it's not literally sniffing.
Oh,
so
he sniffed.
We we went on this trip. We saw the WikiLeaks guy. We had this job in Florida. Tons of stuff. Generally, when we were focused on a job, everything was great. Focusing on an article, focusing on a thing. It was a task. There was a thing. As soon as she had this, I got her a social media. This is something she never says. I got her a political job, like a really well-paying one, where she basically did nothing. She did a lot of social media. She did work. I'm not like she did work. I don't want to dismiss the actual stuff that she did because she actually is very good at it. Which I don't mean to be so complimentary as someone that's harassing me so much. But I think at the same time, it's really important that when you're having struggles with somebody, to remember the things that are positive about them. Remember the things that why did I believe in them at the moment?
Okay, we'll stop there for segment 1. So number 1, I had the connection to the WikiLeaks guy. It was a PR executive who did some work for Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden and the Julian Assange Defense Fund, and Trevor Fitzgibbon. I've done some interviews with him, and Don is now been going out and taking credit for my work. So he literally wrote on Twitter that he advised a WikiLeaks attorney. Totally not true. I let him tag along for an interview I did with Trevor Fitzgibbon in an undisclosed location in a mansion off the grid where I had a chance to interview him while he was going through basically what was like a defamation lawsuit. And he's still kind of got some stuff going on, but I did a follow-up interview with him just a few weeks ago because Don was making this claim and trying to act like it was his connection. It's not his fucking connection. And yeah, I do work. You don't. That dude just sits around, gets high all day and says, I have all these brilliant ideas. You should implement them. You should do it. This dude does not phone bank. He does not canvas. He does not do anything. He does not lead by example. He tells everybody else what they should be doing, but he is unwilling to get off his lazy fat ass and do anything. Anyway, this is segment 1. So I'll stop it right here. And I will continue later because it's the longest video. He was so fucking obsessed. And this was literally just because I said, look, if you're going to say that you're the father of Medicare for all, you need to put some more context around that. That's literally why this guy fucking freaked out. He flipped out because I told him he needed to put more context around what he was saying.